So welcome to our leadership series On the Sofa with Angie. Today's special guest is Victoria Usher, who is the CEO and founder of GingerMay PR. So a very warm welcome, Victoria. It's a pleasure to interview you today.
Yeah, really looking forward to it, Angie. Thank you for asking me.
Thank you so much. So Victoria, you founded GingerMay 10 years ago. What prompted you to set up your own PR agency?
It's a really good question because actually I never had any intention ever of setting up my own business. It was something that I had always assumed that other people did. People with the name entrepreneur, which I certainly didn't see myself as at all, still don't actually, interestingly, even though you get labelled as it. But I set the business up primarily, it was actually due to me being quite a new parent. I'd just had a baby and I was really struggling with my job at the time, where they were not being terribly flexible, and actually wanted me back in the business as quickly as possible. So I did go back to the business within 6 weeks of having the baby, because I was frightened I was going to lose my job, actually, quite frankly. And I think it was such a big realization about what I was allowing to happen there, or what was happening to me, should I say, and I was allowing it to happen by actually acting in accordance with what was being asked of me. It really shook me up, and I thought, I can't morally continue to work with this business. So I started to think about other opportunities, and working for a big London agency was going to, first of all, it was going to be hard to start a new job with 2 young children. So really being a consultant, setting up my own business was actually the only viable option I had available to me. Things have changed a lot now, but certainly 10 years ago, you just didn't have the options available to you that you have now with being a flexible mum.
Fantastic. And what a great journey as well to really, when you have small children, to embark upon setting up your own PR agency. And now you've won so many industry accolades, the Industry Leader of the Year by the PRCA. GingerMay won the Best B2B PR Agency of the Year with PR Moment Awards, and the list goes on. So how does that feel if you never set out with the intention of setting up your own business, and now you're a multi-award winning sort of PR guru?
It does feel really nice. It's great to have the recognition. You put so much hard work in, and it's the hours that people don't see. They only see you visible, 9 to 5, but then it's the very early mornings and the late nights where you're perfecting the art and thinking. All my thinking goes on in my downtime. So at the weekends, I'm mulling things over. So obviously it's wonderful to have all those accolades. Didn't ever, obviously, again, because I'd never intended to do this, it was a surprise when we won our first award. I can still remember it so clearly now. We were in New York, we were in Times Square, and I was expecting to not be placed at all. So we were announced as I think it was fastest growing agency of the year, and it was a global award, and it was just phenomenal and such a wonderful moment. It was everything that had come together, everything that we'd ever strived to do came through at that moment. I think, though, actually the one that I'm most proud of is probably Best Place to Work, because actually we spent a lot of time building up our culture, and people undervalue culture, I think, in organizations. There's more acknowledgement now that it is very important, but it's always top line and growth and growth and growth, and really it is your people that make it. Certainly in a consultancy such as ours, it relies 100% on the people that you have. So the fact that we got that award was absolutely phenomenal, and it is my best award to date.
Congratulations. And I think especially now as well, being the best place to work, and building that culture, particularly in the current environment, is something that's, first of all, really hard to do, but also so important. How do you see this new world that we're in right now, and how do you think that will benefit other sort of working mothers and women in the industry?
Yeah, it's been an interesting time, and I think it's been tragic. So just to recognize that, first of all, you know, there's been unbelievable tragedies that have happened. I'm in quite a lot of networking groups with other businesses, and actually I've seen a lot of them really thrive. So whilst some in some of the sectors like travel and events obviously just cannot thrive at all, others have been really nimble about it, and it's been wonderful to see that. So, you know, the digital transformation has really accelerated, and I think, you know, to your question, I am so delighted that working from home now has been recognised across the world, because we've been forced to. Working from home is something that we've always done in the organisation, and it was inbuilt within the DNA. Nobody was doing it when we were doing it, when we first set up. We were very flexible, but now, because organisations have had to do it, it's been shown that it works, and actually staff are really happy. That said, I'm a really strong believer in an office culture as well, because, you know, there are terrible mental health issues that can happen from the isolation of working from home. So you do need to have a balance. But to your point, I think this will really benefit women. One of the challenges that women, or should I say working parents, because of course, you know, it's increasingly we're seeing parents, you know, really sharing, or dads in fact taking on the responsibilities of childcare. It's become acceptable to have more time working from home. You know, some of our staff, you know, are on calls with both sets, so the client and the staff member have got children running about in the background, and it's an interesting interception into home life, and one that just would not have been acceptable before on any level. It would have been seen as totally unprofessional. But now I think it's actually it's created more authenticity and engagement between both parties, because you have that insight into somebody's life, and actually you get to know them a little bit better. It kind of breaks the ice, you have a chat about it, and then you carry on. And even when you've got, you know, people interrupting, partners walking in, you've got kids running about, it's totally acceptable and totally okay. And I think the longer term effect of that will be is that more women will be, I'm really hoping, and time will tell, more women will be encouraged to stay on in their careers once they have children, because it is more acceptable to work more flexibly, and to have maybe kids at home after school, and for you to carry on working within that time. So I think it will actually benefit us. The world is tipping finally towards more working parents, you know, whereas a very structured corporate environment does not lend itself to that kind of environment at all.
Absolutely. And I think, you know, as a sort of parent myself of two children, I can totally relate to that, because actually, you know, as you said, having children running around, even if you were having an 8 p.m. call, was still deemed to be very unprofessional. And certainly now it's just a natural part of working from home. And as you said, it humanizes people as well. And you can be the CEO of a company, and then you see them interact with children and see a completely different persona, which creates that deeper level of engagement and connection that perhaps we wouldn't have otherwise had.
I agree completely. Yeah, you see the personality behind the person, and you know, we all know that people buy people, and it's actually been a really pleasant experience to see the home lives. Even when you know, I'm looking at you with your beautiful picture and your sofa behind you, you know, I'm reading those markers about you and making assumptions about what, you know, what type of person you are. You know, when you've got a home life going on behind, it's right actually that should be part of your relationship, because you know, because it does create those deeper connections, and it creates for a better relationship overall and better understanding. Absolutely.
Absolutely. So we've talked about sort of women in the workplace and being able to sort of come back after having children. How important is it for women to have a mentor at work?
Mm-hmm. So I would advise every woman and man actually, but particularly women, because there are traditional blocks, and a mentor can help them to recognize those blocks and overcome them. So when I first set the business up, I did have some mentors, and I would say it needs to be somebody that's been there and done that. So quite a few people that wanted to mentor me commercially hadn't actually grown the business as large as I had by that point. I wanted somebody that could advise me what was coming down the line, because that's really important. So not just advising me on what's happening if I've got everyday queries, it's actually what's going to be coming down, what do I need to look out for. So, you know, where mentors are particularly helpful is where you have where you want to ask the stupid questions. So the things that you wouldn't normally ask your boss, because you'd feel like, I probably shouldn't be even looking at this because it feels like it's mundane, but I kind of can't get past it. I just need to understand what's happening here. And quite often, intuitively, those are exactly the kinds of questions that you should be asking, because they are a very small part of a much bigger picture, and your understanding, once that's unlocked, can really help you progress in your career. And of course, you know, with mentors, they tend to be older. So I mentor for the International Advertising Association, and also Bloom, and also London and Partners. And, you know, it's really interesting for me because I come across all sorts of different scenarios, but I have been there and done that. You know, and obviously I know a lot about my sector, PR and marketing, and I can advise on that. And the people I've got coming to me are aged, you know, anywhere between just out of uni to quite, you know, just recent CEOs. And it's really interesting to hear the breadth of their queries. And sometimes it ranges from, you know, I want to get a promotion, or I don't think my boss is being fair about this, how do I deal with it, all the way to how can I be more profitable. So it's really interesting seeing the breadth, and I think you should never be worried about doing it. There are plenty of people out there that want to help, you know, and it shouldn't just be a commercial deal. This should be, you know, the best kind of mentors, the ones that want to do it because they want to give back. And you do get to that point in your career where you think, I can offer advice. You know, it's not an arrogance, it's a point where you suddenly think, yeah, no, I can really give quite helpful advice here, and I really want to. And it's very rewarding for the mentor as well, to see that the mentee is getting something out of it. So yes, in answer to your question, absolutely, everybody, men, women, young, old, you're never too old to have a mentor, or you can always, every day is a school day. You learn something every day, and people can teach you things every day.
Absolutely, and I've also been one of your mentees, and still am as well, and which has been amazing.
You're my favourite, obviously.
Oh.
Angie. Yeah.
Oh, thank you. But I mean, you know, you've been sort of instrumental in me setting up my business a couple of years ago, and also sort of supporting me, particularly through the sort of hard times when you start to question yourself as well. And I think, you know, that's where certainly for me you've been really valuable to sort of talk things through, map it out, and look at the future so that you can weather, you know, those sort of turbulent times, particularly in sort of recent months. So thank you very much for that.
Pleasure. I think you're going to be astounding. You already are. It's going to be amazing what you're creating here. So it just needs a bit more time to get it built up. But it's great. And you're a natural entrepreneur. That's the thing, is that quite often you will speak to people and you can see immediately that they should be running their own businesses, and they are trapped in a corporate job, and they're frightened of jumping because, you know, we are socialized into thinking, you know, we want to have this regular paycheck, and that's really reassuring having that. And you've got that jump off a cliff a little bit when you set your own business up, thinking, well, it's all now down to me. But actually you're much more in control in your own business than you are in working for somebody else. And I think that would be, you know, the key driver for me was that I could take the clients I wanted to. I didn't have to work with the people I didn't want to, and that I could drive the business as hard or as lightly as I wanted to at the end of the day. Whereas if you work for somebody else, you don't have any of those choices. Your only choice is to continue to work with them, or to leave.
Absolutely, thank you. And then so as a sort of closing comment, what advice would you give to people who are looking to take that leap and set up their own business?
So you've already brought up one of my key pieces of advice that I always give, which is to get a mentor. So that would be the first one. The second is really to assess what you're best at, because when you set up a business, a lot of people are looking to cut costs because it might be the first time that you've had to forego the monthly paycheck. But it's a very bad practice to do every job yourself. You know, if you can charge yourself out at £200 an hour, why are you doing your accounts when you can actually pay somebody £20? It just doesn't, the maths it just doesn't add up. So really have a think about what kind of roles that you can push out quite early on, accounts being the obvious one. So do be aware of what the accounts person is doing so that you can analyze your own and have it add rigor to your accounts, but also understand that they're going to do it much faster, and therefore it's a fantastic investment. And the other thing is maybe diary management, getting a PA or somebody similar. And I know, Angie, you're looking at doing that fairly soon because you're so super busy. So it's that. Look at your time, really value your time, put a price on it. Working in the evenings is not a good use of your time. You need to create time for creative thinking and thinking about your job, not being within your job, but working on your role and on your business. And you can best do that by utilizing your skills in the best way and outsourcing the ones that other people can do better, even from the start.
Thank you, and some excellent advice there for anyone who is looking to set up their own business. So it's been an absolute pleasure speaking to you today, Victoria. Thank you so much for sharing your insights, your energy and passion. So thank you very much.
And you, Angie, thank you so much. And I must say, for those that are listening, I am in the middle of building work, so you may well have heard some of the drilling from downstairs and my next door neighbours. So it's quite a noisy place to be at the moment. So.
And that's part of working from home. I also have my plumber here.
That's the downside.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much.
Thanks.